Okay, so a lot of people that have experienced abuse at an early age may unknowingly seek out experiences of being abused due to that being, their early reference point in their lives. A lot of times we can grow up in an environment, at a household or, go to a school or whatever, where you may feel like, you're being taken advantage of. But the interesting part of is why doesn't the person that is getting abused by a narcissist or whatever doesn't stand up for themselves and doesn't take decisive action to remove the abuse from their environment? Well, a lot of the times, that abuse happened at an early age. That anger that was projected towards them happened at an early age. That wrath, whether it came in the form of a beating or verbal abuse or whatever. A lot of times when you're younger, that can disarm you and create a belief where you're not supposed to stand up to the abuser. You're supposed to just accept being abused just due to us developing it as a belief. Because what happens when we're children, for example, when we're trying to stand up for ourselves for how we think and feel, whether it's a parent or it's a bully at school or whatever, the more it happens again and again, we start to develop this psychology, this frame of mind around where if abuse happens to us, that means we have to accept it and we have to take it because we become afraid of the consequences that may follow after standing up. Because I like this example right here, right? The elephant at the zoo, when it's a baby, they tie that elephant with a rope, right? And that rope, it can't break it at that time because still a baby, still young, right? But it keeps trying to break it, 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 and eventually he just gives up. He just says, you know what, man, this rope is too strong. But then the elephant, that same elephant, grows up to be a giant, but it believes it can't break that rope because it's looking at it from the lenses of the experiences it had from the past, and that has become a memory that it mesmerizes over and over on again, leading it not to take action to break the rope and escape from the zoo. Now, human beings are the same thing. When you get your power taken away from you, you're not going to want to get that power back because you've experienced the consequences of what it means to stand up and have power for yourself. Once you get disarmed again and again and again, or you get beat again and again and again and again, once you get verbally abused again and again and again and again, because no human being wants to go through that fire necessarily. And a lot of the times the people around us, especially when we're children, unfortunately or fortunately, really need to do some shadow work on themselves because they would not be projecting their shadow. They will be not, because you're just a child, man. You ain't done nothing. You just was born into this world. However, they just had some anger issues or something inside of them that they haven't dealt with yet. Meaning that an experience could have happened to them when they was younger and they're projecting that experience onto you. It could be just something, as simple of, yeah, man, you could be the nicest person in the world. You could be like the most old person in the world. But if someone was abused and they got, taken advantage of when they was younger and they're still living out the past and the present chemically, then they're going to look at you like, yeah, man, this person is trying to get me. Man, what are they trying to do, bro? They're trying to get me. This would be a lot of people from the hood or like whatever. Man, this person's trying to get me, man. What they want, dog? Because why? Because their frame of mind has been created from that adolescence place when they was children. And now that they have grown up, they still carry those same beliefs with them everywhere we go. So, what am I saying basically? Our whole psychology, our whole frame of mind is made up from when we was children. Now that we're growing up, you're looking and I'm looking at my experiences and we're saying to ourselves, well, why are we manifesting those same experiences? Well, depending on the experience, whatever it is, however, because you created that circumstance. Nothing can create itself into a reality unless you have created it yourself. Meaning that if you have friends, if you have family members or whatever that are taking advantage of you, you're choosing to be taken advantage of because you're still identifying with being abused in the past. And since you don't want it to happen again, you quote unquote would rather take the high moral road, which is not a good or bad thing. It just depends on when do you do it. Because, Because man, your beliefs create your reality. So if you believe that you need to be quote unquote a nice person to everybody and take shit from everybody, then you're gonna be a person that takes bullshit from everybody and just kind of like says, "Yeah, man, this is just life." That's an option with a plethora of other options. You could have decided to tell that person, I don't like how you act towards me, so if you do that, I'm gonna remove myself from the environment that you're in, and me and you cannot coexist. Now that stops people in their tracks because you're letting people know that you don't like their behaviors and they gotta take their behaviors somewhere else. And just like you, they've developed those behaviors from their past. Now, as far as our energy blueprint, how we personally act and react, a lot of things are set into motion since our date of birth and stuff like that, because we have a pre-programming. But on top of that pre-programming, as far as how we think, how we experience our own passions, our own desires, how we talk, how we think personally, and stuff like that. A lot of these things are set with our date of birth, which is just an energy map, which goes your alignment, which gives you a particular set of assignments and things like that. But on top of that, you also have the beliefs that you develop when you come to this planet Earth. You could develop beliefs that allow you to be a high value person, that allow you to be, because you perceive yourself from a self-image that says the world says yes to me, right? So you go everywhere and you expect everybody to say yes to you. But that's a good cognitive dissonance, because you're saying that life is good for me. Yep, everything comes together for my good, because you're structuring your mind via how you see and feel about things. So if you change how you see and feel about things, then you change the structure of your mind, basically. Or you can identify as like a low value person, a self-image that is low based on having a lot of low vibrational experiences. Because a lot of the times, when we're younger, we could be trying to engage with our natural pattern, with naturally who we are, but that pattern can get disrupted or disarmed by people around us that don't like the way that we think and act and feel, just based on them being from a different part of this cosmic tree, being a different part of from a different part of the tree, basically. Because we all have our own, we have opposite sides in astrology. Sometimes when when a sign sees another sign, it could look at that sign like, oh man, you're the devil, because it's acting it's like a Virgo looking at a Pisces. A Virgo look at a Pisces like, nah, you're not supposed to imagine that shit. A Pisces look at a Virgo like, nah, you too stuck in the world type shit. So a lot of the times, you could have alignments or whatever it is in your family that makes them perceive the way you act or the way that you feel as negative or not needed or whatever. But that's just their limited point of view. So we're living in a very limited program that limits who we are and limits our expression and limits our life. The goal is to understand that there's people around us that are limited in their perception, that are limited in their expression due to them experiencing events that created beliefs that limit their perception of reality. Our goal is, however, is to not limit our perception, is not to limit our reality, is not to limit our mentality, and to go from a low vibrational space, meaning a low self-image, a low way of seeing ourselves, to a higher way of seeing ourselves. And when you're high vibrational, you literally just do the things that you like to do. You be the way that you want to be. Now, from the perspective of you're going around, you're beating people up, and you can do that too, but you gotta deal with the consequences that come from that. Like when the government, for example, when they install laws that they know the people are going to dislike, they understand that the people are going to protest and blah, blah, blah. So they expect a backlash. So if you're in the process of changing your life, man, the only thing I would tell you is, all you got to do is this. Let go of the past. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be difficult because you're identifying with your past in the present. Your physical organism is literally chemically addicted, but you have to remember that you're not the creation, you're not your experiences, you're not your thoughts and feelings, you're the observer of those things. And I think quantum science states some shit like, whatever particle you observe drops down into reality. So whatever you observe is going to drop into reality eventually. So if you're identifying with your past and you're identifying with, your abusive father or your narcissistic mother, or, your abusive lifestyle or whatever that you may have experienced, you're going to continue to experience that in the present, and you're going to create that situation again unknowingly because your beliefs have already been disarmed. You're already disarmed. You already dropped your sword. You said, nah, I don't want to fight. Because you have a belief that says you shouldn't fight, because if you do, you're going to experience retaliation and consequences that you don't want to experience. But a lot of the times, we could be trying to get people to, people to like us, people to want us in our lives, so we may act, as kiss the boot, kiss some ass and shit like that. But, hey, from my experiences, you don't really want to do that. You want to be high vibrational. You want to be in love with yourself. You want to value yourself, so you attract other people that are high value, that are high vibrational, that identify with themselves as a bad motherfucker. So you can all create a group and go out into the world and be a bunch of bad motherfuckers. You can be the next baddest musicians. You can be the next baddest, from Boys to Men or some shit like that. Or, maybe the next baddest government, whatever it is. Whatever thought or feeling you identify with, that's exactly what's going to drop into the present moment. Whether you're consciously aware of it, or whether you're consciously aware of it or unconsciously aware of it. The point is, begin to do some hard self-assessment on yourself, because you really have to take a look at your own beliefs. Like, why did you experience the things that you experienced? Because you identify with a certain set of beliefs that created that fucking experience. So if you don't want to experience that same shit, you have to identify with new things that allow you to, create those new events. Because that's going to be the magic key. That's going to be the magic door that's going to allow you to walk into that new reality. But it's all going to begin with your mentality and realizing that you are just the observer of your experiences, and you are not your experiences, and you're here to create experiences. And, those experiences could be whatever the fuck you want them to be. You just have to decide what you want and, stick with that narrative rather than identifying with the past narrative that has nothing to do with where you're actually trying to go. Real fucking stuff.